Hello, beautiful divine being. It's Tiffany here, your friendly inner transformation specialist who specializes with working with intuitives like yourself that have maybe lost yourself a little bit because you've probably been too busy being tuned into everything but you, maybe without even knowing it. And therefore, your purpose, your passion, and your partnerships may well be suffering. And you may think, why would my partnerships be suffering if I'm serving everyone else before me? But trust me, it will. So that's another subject. It's not for today. My kitten has just woken up. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. She loves clawing up my yoga mat. So if you hear some weird things, I'm sorry. Minerva has just woken up. This will make for an interesting session, I'm sure. Anyway, today's session is about purpose. We have been talking about purpose. Hi, Julia. Hi, Marie. Nice to see you here. We have been talking about purpose since the eclipse on the lunar eclipse on the was it the full moon in Gemini? Sagittarius full moon. And then we have the solar eclipse next Sunday on summer solstice. Yes. So it's like the time right now to get really super clear on your purpose. So I've been showing up and sharing things with you, little tidbits, shall we say, over the last week or so. And today is a bonus session because as I was showing up and sharing things about your purpose, of course, people started messaging me questions. And it was like, I don't have a live dedicated to this. So the questions I've got, and please do put your questions also in the chat box. The questions I've got here, some of them are tarot related because the way that I help you tune into yourself is to take you through the Fool's journey in the tarot, which is a transformative way of working with the tarot. It's not your normal divinatory way of working with the tarot. So I do that. I help you go on that journey to unlock your purpose. And if you want to know more about that, check out yesterday's, where I think you will get exactly what it is I do there. Okay. So the questions that I've got here, although they might mostly be tarot related, it's actually about unlocking your purpose. And it doesn't matter whether you're listening to this because you are into tarot, into hula hooping, whatever the flip it is, okay, it doesn't really matter because those are your tools. They are not who you are. All right. So although I will be doing some addressing, particularly around the tarot tool, you can just use the word tarot and turn that into something else, which so it's like every time you hear me say the tarot word, if it's not that you want to progress as a tarot reader, either for yourself or professionally, then just think about what it is that floats your boat. What is your passion? What is it that you want to do? Now, that is your tool to unlock your purpose. Like for me, transformative tarot is the tool that unlocks my purpose, but my purpose is to help intuitives tune back into themselves so they can suddenly get clarity about why it's been really difficult for them to receive, why it's been really hard to have supportive relationships or to be understood or to feel like they belong, and how to clear all of that stuff. Yes, the tarot is the tool of what I do it with. But the questions that I've had, and please feel free to put your questions in the chat box too. There's 3 questions I've got here to answer today. And one of them is, when you start reading tarot, so Sam sent me this one. She's starting to read tarot and she wants to know whether it's better to read for friends, family, or herself. So that's one thing I'm going to address. The next thing I'm going to address is Julia, who's thinking about becoming a professional reader and wants to know if phone lines are a good way to get going. So there's one personal reading, how do you read tarot? And then there's one professional, how do you do it professionally? So I'll be addressing those two areas broadly in a way, not just to do with this exact question, but I'll broaden it. And as I said, even if you don't want to do tarot, you'll get the gist of what traps you don't want to fall into with your alternative way of having a career. Yes, I say career like this, you know what I mean. It's your purpose, it's your passion, it's the way that you show up and you shine and you go out there in the world. And then number 3, how do I go deeper with my purpose? Okay, so that one was sent to me by Leslie, and I know that her purpose is to do with being a holistic therapist. So that one isn't tarot related. I'll also show you my trajectory, because this session is called The Trajectory of a Successful Psychic, Intuitive, tarot consultant, coach, therapist. Fill in the blank, yes, without getting stuck in the common pitfalls along the way. So that's basically what we're doing. Okay, so number 1 is reading for friends, family, and myself. Okay, so when somebody starts with tarot, usually what they do is they get a deck, and the deck has a booklet of meanings, and they shuffle the cards, and there's like a way to do spreads in them, and they lay it down in the instructions of the book. It tells you how to lay the spread out, and then you look at the book and you go, okay, so this one here means this, and that one there means this. So that means you primarily start with yourself. Already there's like 3 things there, which is difficult. First one is you'll start to think that you need to memorize meanings. Second one is you'll think you'll need a spread. Third one is you are the hardest person in the world to read for. Okay, so then that means, what about reading for family? I really wouldn't recommend that. I would say they are the worst people to read for. I have seen family secrets. Oh my God, crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So I wouldn't recommend that. And then reading for friends. Again, this is something that happens when you first start reading. You start reading for yourself, you'll start reading for your friends. And if I didn't read for my friends, I mean, I read for myself and it was horrendous, really horrendous, because I was in a very dark place, and it took me into obsessive compulsive disorder. I was a teenager at the time. We'll look at that in the trajectory. I'll show you my story a little bit, but it was hard. I mean, it overdose hard. That's what it led me to. Okay, so that is how much it can mess with your head if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so I didn't know what I was doing. I was self-taught. I hadn't done any courses or anything like that. I was young. The idea that society tells you that it's about prediction, so therefore if you see like the Tower, the 9 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, the Devil, you know, you just feel doomed, when it's not. It's a mirror, and I didn't know that. Nobody told me that, and this is why I'm really passionate about the re-education of tarot in the world. One of the reasons why. Anyway, moving back to this, so that's how difficult it can be to read for the self. Then the family, I've said why that's difficult. However, if I hadn't have read for myself, I would have never have got started. Number 1. If I had never read for friends, excuse me, stuff coming up. Ooh, powerful stuff we're shifting. Okay. If I had never read for friends, then I would have never have got the feedback that said, you've got something here. It's quite incredible. But I would say that, you know, this is not really where it is something that can be a setback. If you just stay reading for yourself, if you just stay reading for your friends, and if you are brave enough to read for family as well, all of those three things become more and more and more problematic the longer you stay doing it that way, just as much as it does with feeling like you need to know the meanings and reading spreads. Okay, so that is probably not answered the question, because you said, oh, you know, I'm starting to read. Is it best to read for friends, family, or myself? None of the above. So how do you do it? How do you do it if you really want to start in a good way on the personal reading of tarot? You find a mentor, maybe me. You find a community. I have a community, and this is not why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because it's true. I truly believe that I know I'm good. I know this is my passion, my purpose, my dedication. And so I would highly recommend myself. I'm not bullshitting, and I'm not going to play myself down here. I would highly recommend that I know what I'm doing here. So there we go. And you can ask me questions, you can probe me and check and see if I'm full of hot air or if there's substance to that. But I need to see your questions in the comments, so put them in. Community. So I have a whole community of people. I have a whole group of people, and that's who you read with. That's who you go on the journey with. They're people that understand. They're having the same mindset training as you around boundaries, around conduct. They understand, they get where you're coming from, and you get to connect and read with a pool of people like that. And that is where you want to be when you're starting out with reading. Okay, so that's where you've got to find the community, and it's got to be a safe community. And I'm probably going to be quite controversial as always, but I'm going to say that I don't feel like a lot of tarot communities are particularly safe, because there's a lot of focus on the tarot and there's not enough focus on things to do with self-esteem and codependence and lots of other things that come up when you're intuitive. So there's that side to it as well to watch. So you really do want to maybe just go into a few groups and see, get a feel of it before you actually launch yourself in there. I think, like Brené Brown says, really great quote of Brené Brown, it's not everybody deserves your vulnerability, it's got to be earned. So you really do want to check out the groups and see what kind of quality they are before you go into ones that just do free readings, and it all becomes quite egoic because there's some self-worth issues going on and boundary issues. So just watch for that if you're not ready to actually jump in and take it seriously and you just want to dabble for a little bit. Okay. So that's where you want to start, really, is to find a community of people that you don't particularly know, but that you know the community is safe. Yeah, okay. Number 2. Hi, Kathleen. Good to see you here. And Brandy, hi. I've just got your question. Thank you. I will add that to the list. So next question is reading professionally. And Brandy says, good morning. I'm curious what tarot practice is best for finding your purpose and passion after taking care of everyone else. Sometimes I feel a bit lost. Yeah, okay. I'm going to put that in before the reading the pro phone lines, because it feels like that is going to close the gap a little bit from the personal side of how to do tarot to the professional side. Okay, so, and as I said, if the T word doesn't resonate with you, just any spiritual practice, what is it that your purpose is? So for instance, with Brandy's question about, she says she's curious what tarot practice is best for finding your purpose and passion after taking care of everyone else, sometimes I feel a bit lost. That could be any spiritual practice that you guys maybe are just as passionate about. Do you find that you give it out and that actually then you just feel lost or drained in yourself? This isn't really to do with the practice. It's kind of what I was just saying about if you're not ready to do a course, then find a Facebook group, but make sure it's safe, because there's problems. There's a lot of problems with boundaries and self-esteem and self-worth and things like that that come up with being an intuitive. So if you put intuitives into a group that don't have a very strong moral conduct, where they all know that they're coming from the same page, it can be quite an unsafe place to be. And if you are an intuitive or a tarot consultant, whatever intuitive that is, okay, personal or professional, tarot or not, if you are an intuitive that is giving out to people and feeling that something is flat or lost for you, then something is wrong somewhere along the line, and it's not really in the practice as such. Let me explain. You know, back at the beginning of the video, I said to you, the tarot is a tool. The whatever you want to put in, whatever your thing is, whatever therapy, whatever your passion is, it's a tool. So if you're feeling like this, it's not the tool, it's to do with you. It's to do with self-worth, it's to do with boundaries, it's to do with trying to get your esteem from another person rather than having this esteem in yourself. And this is why high quality, high monitored groups are really important, because it's not taught. This stuff isn't taught. It's like a lot of therapists come to me and say that they feel like failures. They're not confident because they've done all of these courses and they haven't been able to make it a business, and they blame themselves. And I'm saying to them, has anyone actually taught you how to make this a business, or did you just learn how to do the tool? And they say to me, well, I just learned how to do the tool. And I was like, okay, so give up the self-blame, because you don't know how to make this a business. Nobody has taught you. It's like being angry with a child for not being able to swim when they haven't even seen a swimming pool. So it's a bit of a weird analogy, but it's like you will keep looking at the tool, or you will keep looking, you'll keep looking at the tool and blame the tool or you. It's like there's something wrong. I need to change the way I'm working with the tool, which is true, but it comes from a deeper place than that. Okay. So yeah, it's to do with learning the personal development, the inner transformation piece is what is needing doing there, if that makes sense. I hope that helps, Brandy. You might be feeling a little bit lost from what I've said, but if you can stay with us for the live, I'll show you my trajectory. I've got some slides for that, some visual slides, and that will just help you see how my own trajectory went with that. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, but it's definitely a big piece on boundaries and self-worth. All right. Okay. All right, so I've got some lovely things coming through here, some lovely things. Bless you. Gillian's here. Hi. I don't know who this is. Bless you, says Facebook user, but thank you for your nice comment. Julia says, I resonate with that and my therapy business. Exactly. It's like a business. Nobody really thinks that we've got like a serious business. And that's the first thing that you really have to show up and be the CEO of, because if you're not going to, then who is, darling? So on that note, let's move on to the question here, reading prose. So this is pretty tarot-like, but I guess you could say it for a therapy business or a coach, or if you're looking at going self-employed, in some way, but get into the trap of thinking you need to do this on a freelance basis. So you need to, say, rent a room in a shop, or go on a phone line, or be hired out by an agent or another company. Any of those things are so tempting. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt you'll see on my slides. And I'm going to speak in particular to do with tarot for a little bit, and the phone lines, okay? So it's like, it feels easy. It feels like, oh, well, I can just sit at home and work on my computer and get my business, it'll support me to get my business up and running, because I can just stay on the laptop, and when the phone rings, I can just pick it up, do a reading, get paid for it, and then, put it down again and carry on with my business. It's false economy, okay? In order for you to show up in your business, there's a need to show up in your business. There's a need for you to commit to it 110 flipping %. Rain, shine, whatever is thrown at you. I have done that. I put my hands up. I freelanced for, you'll see, I'll show the slides. I won't go into my story until we've got the slides, or you'll hear it twice. What I will say about phone lines, again, is like what I said about reading for friends, family, and yourself. Do it for a little bit. It is like a stepping stone. Do not get stuck there, okay? So most people say, well, yeah, it's great because I haven't been confident enough to go professional. And so actually, if I do the phone lines, that'll give me a good starting point. And like I said, if you're not into tarot, you might be thinking this about going freelance for some company with your passion. Okay. Yeah, it's good experience. I don't know how to use the word good. It's experience, and it will challenge you. If you're not confident already, it's likely to break you. But it's good experience. And the reason I say it's likely to break you is because what you'll get on the phone lines are not your ideal client, because you're working for somebody else's company. So there'll be a mismatch, misalignment. You'll get people that are really upset and in a knee-jerk, I need the answer now, and they will be looking to you for prediction. They won't be wanting to take responsibility to work on themselves, and so they are the hardest people to work with. And so in that way, it's experience. It can sharpen your clairsentience, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, because you can't see anyone. Well, that was in the days when I did it. Phone lines, typical phone lines. I don't know about now. You might be able to see people now. But it will challenge you. And it's very, very poor pay. A much better way is to, I understand it might just be for where you're at right now. And okay, if you think that it's too much of a jump or too much of a gap for you to go from I'm not confident enough to like, I am just gonna 110% align to my business, then okay, but go into it with your eyes wide open and knowing that you're going to get that type of experience, and you're not going to be paid a lot, and it's going to mess with your energy a lot. It's not going to be easy for you to just switch between your own business and the phone line. You'll need to clear in between all the time. So again, if you're going to do it, use it as a stepping stone, but go into it going, this is the type of client I'm going to get, and I'm not going to let this break me. I choose that whatever I experience is here to build me. Okay, so that's what I would say about phone lines. So how do you actually become pro? Whether that is a therapist, or a tarot reader or a coach, you know, in a situation where your passion is really quite unique and it's not a 9 to 5 job. There are many companies out there that would take you on, but you're going to have that same kind of problem. They're not going to be your ideal clients because you're not showing up with your ideal message. You haven't gotten down to the bottom of the problem. So you're just going to be like scratching the surface in terms of pay. You'll end up being overworked and underpaid and burnt out and not for your purpose. So you'll feel a bit lost, you'll feel a bit flat, a bit. So how do you do it? Again, I'll show you the slides so they're coming. There's a little hook on how you do it there, and I'll show you the slides. That's what we'll end with. And okay, so how do I go deeper with my purpose? That's time for slides as well. Okay, so let's get the slides up to finish. Why is my... Bear with me a second. Here we go. Coming up any second now. Okay, so I need to share screen still, don't I? So let me just press that button. Thank you for your patience. Share screen. It is coming, trust me, right now. Trippy, this is not what I wanted you to see. This is not that, this. Okay. All right, so this is how I did it. Okay. Don't say I've downloaded the wrong slides. Oh my Lord. No, okay, here we go. It's here. So where's the first one gone? So yesterday I spoke to you about this, if you saw yesterday. So we did quite a bit on purpose yesterday. And this is basically your trajectory of being a successful person in whatever your purpose is. And your passion is your tool. Okay, so we're going to apply that now. We did the session yesterday with Iz's story. Now it's time for you to see an example of my story and how that would relate to your story. So here we go. I spoke to you about how the Fool's Journey, the major arcana of the tarot, actually fits in with the hero's journey here. And so if you need to know more about it, see yesterday's video, but I'll take you through how this fits in, like in numerical order, from 0, the Fool, to the Magician 1, the High Priestess 2. It fits with each step of the journey, like so. So this was my call to adventure. Tarot was my call to adventure in 1981, when I first found a deck lying on my mum's living room floor. And as I said, it was not good. I was self-taught. I didn't start like working with the tarot when I was 4. I started really working with it when I was 14, and it just kept mirroring back the darkness, which is why I put the 9 of Swords there. And I didn't know how to deal with it because I was being the fool. I was a child and I had no idea how dangerous it was if you don't know what you're doing, and because of the way society sees it around predictions and things along those lines, how it really got me in a really bad place. And so that was my call to adventure. Okay. And in 2001, so I must have been 24, I enrolled on a tarot course. And the reason that I did that was, I mean, I stopped. It's been twice that I've rejected the tarot and it's come back to me both times. And I was as I said, the first time OCD development, and it was like, don't like what you're saying, you've got to tell me something different. Doing another reading, same cards, same darkness, because I was in that space and it's a mirror, but I didn't understand that. So I ended up taking an overdose, and it was like, okay, time to actually throw away the tarot. I don't think I threw them away. I think there's something in me that always felt that they were sacred, but I shut them away. And then I healed myself. I healed myself. I was 16 at the time. And then I got pregnant at 19, and something, I don't know what it was, it said to me, Tiff, you just have to do a reading. I was like, what? So I did. And in the reading, I saw that I was going to lose the child. And again, self-talk, prediction, doom and gloom. I didn't know how to deal with that at all. So my way of dealing with it was to pretend I'd never done that, not tell anyone. I thought if I just, again, shut the tarot away, don't touch it, and don't tell anyone what happened, that it wouldn't happen. But it did. My daughter passed when she was 4 months old. And after that, I started telling people what had happened, because I had nothing left to lose, right? And I expected them to say, don't do that again. But actually they said, will you read for me? And so I enrolled on a course, because it was like, I started to think there might be, that my purpose might be to help people live through what they need to live through. I was 23, 24 at the time. So that was my first real rumblings of my purpose, right? Okay, so I enrolled on a course, and that's where I met the mentor. So you can see that took me years to start honoring the call to adventure and get to meeting a mentor. And it can take you years and years and years to cross that bridge, but you'll get to a point where you're like, something needs to shift. And when you are at that place of like, something needs to shift, that's when you'll finally do it. Okay, and you'll cross the threshold. So after my course, I then opened my own shop. Yeah, and that's where I started reading professionally. So that was in 2003, and it was a real jump out of my comfort zone. So it was not freelancing for any company. I've been employed ever since then. You know, I'd never been self-employed. I was 26. Didn't have any money, did it 100% through family loans, bank loans, credit cards, and just boom, opened a shop. That's crossing the threshold. Crossing the threshold is when you leave your normal world and you go into the unknown world. Yeah? Okay, so it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have done that course. There was something in doing that course that activated that for me. And so through opening my shop, I met lots of holistic teachers. Like, they just kept coming through the doors, and they kept teaching me things, astrology, past life regression, Reiki. You know, it just went on and on and on. And so it was just like helper after helper after helper I'd opened the doors to by crossing the threshold, right? By going, hey, I'm really out of my depth here. I have no idea what I'm doing. Universe, help me, right? So that's what happened. I made the jump, and it delivered. But yes, I closed the shop 3 years later. I'd never done business before. The rents were really high. We'd started it 100% in debt. And yes, in the third year, we had just we'd started going into profit. So we did the normal thing, even with being 100% in debt. You know, we'd gone through year 1, which was loss, year 2, which was breaking even, and year 3, which was profit. So it was on the right trajectory. That is normal when you start a business. But I couldn't grow anymore. It was the end of the lease, and wasn't great with the landlady, wasn't brilliant, and it was really expensive, and I couldn't grow anymore. That was the main thing. I was feeling the need to grow, which is the very next thing, as you can see, growth and new skills. And I felt like I was trapped in these 4 walls. And that was the real reason that I actually closed the shop. It didn't feel like a failure To other people, it might be, oh, look, there's another business gone boom. But actually, no, I came out with more money than I went in with. A heck of a lot of experience. It got me to where I needed to go. So trials and failure, I don't really resonate with the word failure at all. Okay, so strength, a hermit, growth and new skills. So you can see how the tarot is fitting in, hopefully, because I haven't been concentrating on that. But if you need more on that, that is in yesterday's lesson anyway, which is on the page. So do check it out. So growth and new skills, that's arrow should be at, and it says I get published. So I get hired and awarded by top psychic companies and TV to read and teach. So I stuck with that from 2007 to 2014. It was exciting. It was really cool in some ways, you know, being in the West End, reading, you never knew who would walk through the door, from the homeless to the famous, and being on TV was great for my Leo spotlight. I loved it. And the person that loves to share, loves to kind of show you all these fascinating things. I loved that. And I love teaching as well. So I really loved that. But what I didn't like, or I couldn't cope with, was you must fit in this box. And again, the way society saw tarot and having to fit in that box, it was against my values, because you can probably get, you know, what I went through from it being that way. And I saw it all around. I saw the exploitation, the obsessions, the addictions, the sheer broken self-worth issues, and it was driving me absolutely crazy. Yeah, totally crazy. And it was like, and it was really hard, right? Because when you have a career like this, you can't just jump from job to job, and all those jobs are going to be the same anyway, because it's how the society sees your purpose, right? So I got the revelation here at the stage revelation that I realized that I need to honor my own purpose. Nobody out there is going to do it for me, because it doesn't exist out there, right? So I have to do something. Boom, moment. And that is, again, a moment where I was like, I need a mentor. All right. I had absolutely no money again. And you might think, oh, you can't have been that successful then. But media, exploitation, darling. So I didn't have money. I knew that I needed to make money to pay the tax man, and I was bricking it because I've been in trouble with taxes before, right? So it was like, oh my God, I need to do something, and fast. And I was like, I'm a bit lost. I didn't really know what to do. But then I found that, hey, you decide that you need something, a bit like when I opened the doors to the shop and all the helpers came in. It was that decision of like, help, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing here. That actually meant that what opened up was, there was something on Facebook, a form to fill in for a business coach. I got on a sales call with someone who's very dear to me now, actually. And I had absolutely no money, but she totally supported me through it. It doesn't really matter if you want to do this and you know that this is the right thing for you, you will find a way. And she was right, I did. So I got £5,000 investment for a 3-month course. That was, I got that through another loan, and I paid it back in the first month, where I'd made 20,000 back in the first month. So that was because I was starting to understand, and I say starting to understand, how I needed to show up as my purpose and how I could in the world, but it had to come from me. And that is something that has been a massive journey, obviously different stages along the way. But as you can see here, it's 2014, and it's only really now that I feel massively clear on how my purpose and my passion is different. How my purpose is to help you show up and shine from a really healthy space that is connected to your purpose, so that you can receive the support from the world, whether that's in your relationships or in your professional life. But it's taken me 6 years, really. So even though I launched my baby, The Transformational Truth of Tarot, in 2014, I've just been on this trajectory ever since. And so TTT, it keeps on going, it keeps on growing. It's my passion and my purpose. I'm in utter awe of how it keeps expanding. And this is my purpose. So it got activated in 2014. Maybe it got activated in 2003. But you can see I went from employed to self-employed and just jumped in and got a shop. Then I went freelance for companies for quite a while. And then it was like, no, I've got to do this for myself. So there you go. That's my trajectory. And the key to it is taking the bull by the horns and saying, this is my path. I am committing to it 110%. And I'm looking for the person that's going to help me. And when I know that I found that right person, come hell or high water, I am going to move whatever mountains are in the way to actually make that jump. Yeah. Otherwise, you will go through quite a bit of the long way, the hard way, the illusions. And you don't want that, do you? You want to go the fast way, surely. The fast, easy, painless way, right? So if you feel the call to your adventure and your purpose, and you want to start aligning to it, today's the last day that you can sign up for the early bird to go from zero to hero, which is this journey in 22 days, okay? To unlock your purpose. And that is the link there. So you just put your name down here, and then you'll get the golden ticket invite at 5 p.m. in your inbox, and it expires 24 hours later. So if you're going to jump on, you'll need to do it in the next 24 hours. If you want to speak to me, you can do that too. You can just say call in the chat box, and CALL, cool, and I will get the link and we can hop on and see if I can help you with where you are. Yay! Okay, so any more questions, or are we done for the day? It's great to be here because you share your brilliance by osmosis. Thank you, Gillian, who also says, tarot is a powerful tool for ancestral healing. It is so potent for transversing through time. Divine timing, that's what it is. Absolutely. Okay, I think that's it for today. Bye for now. I think someone's just joined, so we're just finished, and do check out the replay. And I'm going to put this link in the comments for you as well, for anyone who wants to sign up for the mini journey of zero to hero, which is basically for you to get a peek of like the work that it's a little about 10% of what we do in the Transformational Truth of Tarot. Okay, so just you want to open the door and get started in the right way. Weird. I'm getting these weird comments saying an error occurred. Was this broadcast deleted on Facebook? I hope not. It seems to have said that I'm gone weirdly, so I hope I haven't been speaking to myself. I will check into Facebook now and see. Bye for now. I'll put the link in the comments on the actual post.